Hey everybody, it's Nate here. Welcome back to a new video. I'm gonna start introducing myself in these probably. It's probably a good idea. A couple of years ago, and by a couple years ago, I mean probably about 10 years ago, there was a mysterious trailer that showed up on YouTube and got how old was I? I would have been 13. My 13-year-old brain really excited. And of course, it's about the game that we're talking today. It was the first trailer we ever got for Hytale. Hytale was being developed by Hypixel Studios, aka the people behind one of, if not the most popular Minecraft server of all time, Hypixel. You guys just hear my cat just attack the floor there? The Hypixel Minecraft server was one that I spent literally a decade of my life on, playing so many different mini games. So when I found out that that studio that made some of, if not the best mini games and most different ways of playing Minecraft with friends, they were making their own sandbox game that was gonna have all of these different tools and assets to help you shape the game into what you want it to be, I was extremely excited. Now, over the years, Hytale has kind of had different ups and downs, especially in terms of news. It felt like at first they were really pumping out weekly blog posts, and I was someone that was very heavily involved with these blog posts as well as with my best friend. However, over time, my best friend lost interest in the game. I kept my hand strong in the game. I was very into Hytale. In fact, I made a video last year or the year before talking about how we really needed some news. And then the next day we literally got one of the biggest dev updates because, you know, that's just my timing. However, it's funny. I was going to make a video on Hytale again, just to talk about how it still feels like this game is missing and how we still need to know so much more about the game and when it could show up. And then it got canceled. So on June 23rd, Hytale posted an update to their website. It says, "Hey everyone, today I share some incredibly tough news with Hypixel Studios team. We're ending development on Hytale and beginning the process of winding down Hypixel Studios over the next few months. This is not the outcome any of us at Hypixel or at Riot wanted, but after years of pushing, adapting, and exploring every possible path, it became clear we couldn't bring Hytale to life in a way that truly delivered on its promise." And I'll link the whole thing in the bottom. It's signed by Noxy, who is the co-founder and I believe is the current CEO of Hypixel Studios. Don't get confused him with who we're going to talk about in a second, because those are two different people. This obviously upset a lot of people, including myself. Now, I'm an adult, so I didn't shed a tear or anything on this, but it was definitely something that impacted my mood. I'm not somebody who gets very heavily invested in game development or in games that promise that they're coming. The only time I've ever really done it in my life was for Cyberpunk 2077, and we all know how that turned out at launch. However, what makes that game different is that it came out in a broken state and was fixed. Hytale is the second time in my life where I've ever really anticipated a game just to get fucking burned. And Hytale is not even releasing an alpha build. Now, there's a couple things I want to say in this video. I'm going to be speculating a lot about what actually happened behind the scenes. And as time moves forward, we will probably eventually learn everything. However, Simon, or the old CEO, and I guess he was involved with the dev process for Hytale, basically came out after it was announced and said that during his time working on Hytale between 2016 and 2019, it was maybe a maximum of 2 years away from a PC release. And it makes it very clear that this is with the old legacy engine and vision that the team had. Even Simon himself admits that he has videos, screenshots, and old client builds to attest to this. Now, Simon doesn't know what has happened in the last few years because he's been pretty uninvolved with the game, and I think he's even left and Noxy has taken over. He says that the team back when he was a part of it was very locked in and just cracked beyond anything, making so much progress for the game that they even thought possible. And this stings a lot because one of the biggest things, and I swear, I know it's like hindsight 2020, and I could just be saying this for views. I promise you I'm not. In the video I was gonna make about Hytale, I was gonna say how I think it's time for them to just release the game and update it as time goes on, a lot like what Minecraft did. However, in my brain, I think it just makes absolutely no fucking sense to have a sandbox survival game that's supposed to give people the tools to shape the game and make their own stuff in it, to not release it in some sort of beta or alpha even, and then update it over time? It especially makes no sense because the game they're directly competing with, Minecraft, did this, and it worked extremely well for it. I remember playing the alpha of Minecraft and just getting so excited every time there was a major update. It actually helps sometimes if you release a bare bones game that's actually really good in its bare bones and constantly push free updates to it. I know we live in a day and age now where people are more upset at games not being finished when released. Personally, I've always been of the belief that I think it kind of depends on the game. For example, I think when The Forest initially released, it was extremely good. However, after they updated it a couple times, it got even better. Now, a game like Cyberpunk that's not this open world kind of sandboxy game that's very narrative driven, that game should have been polished a lot more than it was. However, like I've said, they still fixed it, and Hytale could have done something similar. Again, hindsight is so fucking 2020. I get it. And honestly, I'm not even mad at Hypixel Studios here. I actually feel for them more than anything because this was quite literally their baby, and it was very obvious that it was. They loved what they were doing, and this has got to hurt them so much because they found out almost immediately before we did. Like, they found out when we did that the game was being canceled. But personally, I'm mad at Riot Games. If you've been on this channel, I've talked about League of Legends and Valorant in the past, and I am going to actually do a video on Valorant and CSGO eventually. I have a fucking bone to pick with Riot Games because the vibe I'm getting from all of this, the vibe I'm getting from Riot acquiring them all the way up to this cancellation, is the fact that they eventually gave the Hytale Studios a deadline that just wasn't reachable at this point. I know that they didn't want to release Hytale on the old engine because they wanted it to be playable everywhere. Fuck that. Just release it on PC and work on the new engine in the background. I mean, shit, Valorant literally just did this. It didn't switch engines so that way it would release everywhere, but it had a major engine shift with the game, or it's going to. I don't know if it's out yet. I'm going to be honest, I haven't really been paying attention to that game that much. But like, this is literally something that Riot is currently doing. And the fact that this game had so much fucking potential and it had all of this grand ambition and it actually looks like there's a playable build and they're just gonna scrap it is just so beyond annoying to me. I will give flowers where they're due. Riot did, I think, say somewhere in all of this mess that Hytale is still very much a belief. They are letting people buy it from them, essentially. But I fucking know Riot, man. They're probably charging an arm and a goddamn leg for this, which, I mean, if they put millions of dollars in, they have the right to. Because honestly, as much as this is a loss for the Hytale team, this is probably also a very big loss for Riot. But I'm not going to feel bad for them because they release shitty skins and shitty updates for their shitty live service games. This entire situation feels like it just boils down to mismanagement and just an overall lack of care from Riot and a lack of management from the Hypixel Studios team. And even then, they could have had management and then Riot just could have fumbled it. We just don't know at the end of the day. However, I don't think either side is the bad guy. I truly, from the bottom of my heart, think that this was just an unfortunate situation and there was a lot of unfortunate circumstances. Again, for all we know, maybe the shareholders were dangling over Riot's head saying, you need to make sure Hytale comes out in 2026. And when Hypixel Studios said there's no way for that to happen, then maybe they just had to pull the plug. We will never really know unless it just completely leaks, I guess. But again, I think it's just extremely disappointing for this to happen. And especially because, like I said earlier in the video, they could have just released an alpha PC version for the game and just pumped updates into it because like what the fuck's the point of not doing that? I understand wanting to have this simultaneous release to try to get the bag from every console, but if this game was as good as it looks, and it looks fucking incredible, by the way, if this game was even a half of as good as it looks in an alpha stage, people would have bought it. I'm sorry, people would have bought it. People don't really like Mojang and Minecraft right now, or at least they didn't last year. I don't don't know where the Minecraft community stands anymore, man. I've been so detached, but people are not very happy with Mojang. And this is really a good opportunity for a really good sandbox game to just hit a player base. Was Hytale ever going to kill Minecraft? No. I don't think it would ever have been possible for Hytale to even have maybe 60% of what Minecraft had in terms of influence and impact and culture, really. But it's just so sad to hear that this game on the old engine was 2 years away from being... We could have had this game at latest 2021 or 2022, but instead it's 2025 and the game has been canceled. So if you were disappointed in this news like I was, go ahead and let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to read the Hytale statement, I'm going to put that in there as well as an article that kind of breaks down some of the stuff that Simon said. He said a lot of stuff on Twitter and I don't use that shit platform, so I'll just leave the article in the description. You can go check his Twitter if you want to. I do feel for all of the Hytale creators and people behind the scenes for this time, so please do not send people hate. I have to say that now because, again, people fucking white knight me in the comments. Dude, I don't know. My life is so weird now. But if you guys enjoyed this video, drop a like on it. Also subscribe. Like 90% of you are not, so you should go ahead and do that. If you want to check out my other stuff, you will see them on the screen at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for everything. This has been Nate, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.